ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಂಗೆ ತಗೊಂಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ತಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಬರೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮನೆಗಳು ಹಾಕೋರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದವರು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ತಂದು ಕವರ್ಗೆ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಧ ಜನ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ.
Waste is a humongous problem, and not everybody understands that what is the impact of how they live their lives. So lifestyle today choices are such that we generate a lot of waste, and like a Bangalore city, for example, generates around 5,000 to 6,000 tons per day. And where does it go? What happens to that waste? So a citizen basically doesn't understand. He or she thinks that once they have generated any waste, they have to hand it over to the municipality and they take care of everything. But that doesn't happen, because municipality is handling tons of waste, and most of the waste which could have been recycled gets lost because it's in a mixed form. So basically every citizen has to understand that anything that we generate is our responsibility till we know where it reaches. So basically we need to understand that we need to segregate our waste, and we need to make it in such a way that 80 to 90% of it can go back to a recycling stream. In that 60% is your kitchen waste. There is paper, plastic, metal and glass. If it kept clean, can be recycled. That's around 30%. So it's only 10% that we need the municipality to handle it, or an agency which is equipped to handle a reject waste, which is sanitary waste, which is body contaminated waste, which is hazardous waste, which can hurt somebody. So only that the municipality needs to really channel it to a right authority. But truckloads of waste goes out of the city limits and they get dumped. They are set on fire. Garbage gets set on fire, so it causes environmental pollution, which is something that ordinary citizen will not understand. He doesn't understand that he is contributing to this pollution. The landfill, the oceans full of garbage, the rivers, everywhere it ends up, the garbage that we generate. So when we segregate our waste in three way, that is wet waste, that's your kitchen waste, which is organic waste, which can be composted, that's 60%. Another 30% is recyclable, 30 to 40%, which is nothing but every bit of paper, plastic, metal, glass, if kept clean, can be taken to a dry waste collection center. Either you create a channel. If you're a huge apartment, you can have an agency coming and picking it up to you. You can collect it for a week or so, or a month. Or if you're an individual, just collect it for some time, find out which is the closest dry waste collection center, and we can go and drop it off. So awareness is the key, because if we start looking at the responsibility that we have towards this planet, to keep the planet clean, to keep the planet less polluted, I think action time. Everybody needs to create one action that could help us reverse the climate change, and every contribution will make a huge difference.
Ma'am, can you also talk a little bit about composting and urban farming?
Yeah.
Just focused on that.
Right. So once we segregate our waste, as 60% is organic waste, which comes from our kitchen. We create it every day. We make breakfast, lunch and dinner. We eat a lot of fruits today, diet, so we eat a lot of salads. So a lot of peels and some leftover food which is spoiled or rotten just gets generated on a daily basis. So composting at home, at the source of generation, could be one of the best actions we can take to mitigate the climate change, because when we don't let that leave our home, what really happens is we are holding it back, and it is a great resource, because it is nothing but an organic matter that needs to go back to where it belongs. And where does this belong? This belongs to the soil, because it has to feed the soil so that the soil stays alive for us to grow our food. So there is a direct connect between, there is a cycle that we need to complete, that the organic waste should be held back, put back into building soil to grow our food. And then when we grow food in organic soil, which is a living soil, then we are the plants that feed us. The produce that comes out of such soil is nutrient dense, and that's where we get our energy from, when there is a lot of nutrients in our food, which is totally missing when it is grown with pesticides and so much of fertilizers that people usually use to grow food today. And also the depletion of the soil is not good for the planet, because when there is a desertification that's happening, when there's no life in the soil, then slowly it threatens life on this planet. It's not just human beings that live on this planet. We have million other species that depend on a healthy planet. A healthy planet is that we can make sure, because we as human beings are the only species that generate things that the earth can't digest. Every other species lives in harmony with nature, and they don't generate anything that the earth can't digest. So we can see that we are the ones who are destroying, we are the ones who are polluting, and we need to take action. And food is something that we all need to understand, that we need to put healthy food into our body so that we don't depend on medicines and hospitals to take care of our health. So when we choose to eat good food, which is naturally grown, which is grown in healthy soil, then I think a large population would be healthy and we don't fall prey to lifestyle diseases. And so urban farming is extremely important, because you can't grow all your food. But what you can do is grow food to understand where food comes from, to understand what a healthy vegetable looks like, what it tastes like, and the joy of growing your food is something that you completely shift to looking at. Where can I source my food? Can I buy food that is safe for me and my family? So we have been looking at how people can grow even in the smallest of balconies. They can compost their kitchen waste and then make a lovely soil with that compost, which is enriched soil, which feeds the microorganisms in the soil, and grow at least few plants, edible plants. You could grow your greens, you could grow your coriander, you could grow your palaks, your spinach. So it's so important for us to understand where food comes from, especially youngsters, children. They should feel connected to soil, they should feel connected to nature. In Bangalore especially, we have a huge campaign and a movement, I must say, which has pushed many people to start growing food in their terraces. And we call ourselves the organic terrace gardeners. And it's like we come together on certain events where we exchange seeds, help each other to understand more about growing. Everything is experiential, right from composting is an experiential way. Even growing food is experiential. You cannot learn everything. You have to go through the process of understanding what grows in which season. So it's so exciting to start looking at growing food on your terraces, introducing children to this amazing nature, and eating food of the plant, and by and creating great menus out of the food that you grow could be the most exciting thing that you'll be doing in your kitchen. So I think urban farming is here to stay, and we understand more what a rural farmer goes through, because we know what it is to take care of plants and grow it healthily. Right from building soil to not put pesticides to take care of pests. So understand, how the healthier the plant is, the less of pests that will attack it, and the more biodiversity that you have, the better for you in your urban gardens.
So can you tell us about the few myths that people have about compost and organic farming in their house?
Right. So when it comes to composting, most people don't want to try it straight away, because they already think that it is a very difficult process. It could be very stinking. There could be creepy crawlies that could be coming out of it, which could harm us. It could spread disease. So it's something that is not in my backyard, and I don't want to take care of it, is what most people think. But actually it's just the opposite. Composting is nothing but what happens in the nature all the time. It's just a breakdown of organic matter. It's happening everywhere outside your home. So you're just bringing nature into your home in a container and giving it the right environment. And there will be, like when I did for the first time, I failed. But that's where you learn. Once you fail, you have an opportunity to learn more than you would have learned otherwise. So I think at every point that you have a challenge, there is something for you to learn, and that's how you hone the skill. It's very experiential. You have to experience the lows and the highs, and when you see your compost for the first time, look at that black gold, smell the amazing, earthy smell that it gives you. You are hooked for life, because you know that you are first of all holding back a great resource, secondly you're building soil with that compost, and you're growing food. So what else can complete a life cycle than you being a part of it? This is what happening in nature all the time. And of course, gardening also, people have a lot of myths. They say, oh, I killed this plant, I don't have the green thumb. Well, even I thought I didn't have a green thumb. I always envied people who had gardens, but it is not so. It's about how you connect. So when you have a deep connection to nature, and you start falling in love with certain processes. I fell in love with composting. When you start falling in love with those processes and make it a part of your everyday activity, I think nothing is difficult to grow. You can grow the toughest of vegetables and fruits, and it's just that basic, learning of how to build the soil and how to manage. And then you learn, because you have so much today with internet. You don't have to go to a class, you don't have to go to the agriculture university to learn to be an agriculturist. Internet gives you so much information. There are people, groups, social media is huge. There are groups which form who are constantly parting with knowledge. You ask one question, oh, I had this pest on my plant, what do I do? And you'll get 10 answers within a second. That's the kind of interaction that we have online. And I think we can all take advantage of it and start any hobby, be it gardening, composting, any art, creativity, can be easily, honed as a skill. And it gives you so much joy. There's so much of calmness that we can create within our homes. Nothing like seeing something green in your own homes. I mean, that's the best thing that gives you energy. And if you can put that into your body and eat it, I don't know what kind of energy that we can generate. That's something that it's available to all of us. We should just forget about all the constraints that people usually have. It's valid to have a constraint, but it's always better to overcome them by diving into it and experimenting with it. That's how you gain the experience. And if I'm able to talk all this today after 12 years of being in this space, it's sheer experience that makes me talk, because I dare to experiment with it. So create a lab in your homes, a composting lab and a gardening lab, and before you know, your garden has grown like 10 folds, 20 folds, because you so got addicted to it. So composting is very addictive for me. I am a part of a organization called Solid Waste Management Roundtable, and we formed this 12 years back. This is just citizens who came together because we were very passionate about changing the scenario about decentralized waste management, and each of us felt the need to create awareness. So we came up with a lot of campaigns: 2 bin 1 bag, the segregation campaign, then the Swachhagraha campaign, which is talks about the 3 green spots: compost, grow and cook, and of course Green the Red, the sustainable menstruation campaign, and there were many other such campaigns which we are all a part of it, and our whole focus was to create citizens' awareness to take responsibility of the waste they generate. Composting, we need to understand, it's just breakdown of organic matter. When we say organic matter, it's your peels from your kitchen. It could be fruit peels, it could be rotten vegetables, it could be anything that your kitchen generates. So it's like right from food waste to peels from your kitchen. And this is called the green waste. That is, it is wet and it has moisture. As it breaks down, it has moisture. And the other organic matter that we need to look at is dry leaves. In this season, you get dry leaves, they are crisp. You can actually crush them by putting them in a sack and jogging. You'll get your exercise too. And when one crushed leaves are added along with this, they are the ratio. That is the wet and the browns. The greens and the browns are ratio. Browns are high in carbon and greens are high in nitrogen. So the carbon and nitrogen are very important in composting. So you need these two, and then you need a container. This is an earthen container. It has holes, it breathes. Oxygen is extremely important in composting process. It's called aerobic composting. That means it needs air for the microorganisms to survive, break down the organic matter and create that amazing black gold. So you just have to take any container and then layer it with some nice dry leaves. Add some nice dry leaves at the bottom, and then you take your kitchen waste and you drop it. And for this, if you want the process to enhance or hasten, it has to happen faster, you need to add some accelerator. It could be cow dung slurry, fresh cow dung slurry, it could be buttermilk, it could be store-bought compost accelerators, and that can be added to this so that you can enhance it. Otherwise, you can just add on some dry leaves. So take some dry leaves, add it to it, make sure you cover it completely. And then close the lid. So as you fill this up, it may take 10 days to fill it up, it may take 1 week, it could take any amount of time depending on the kind of waste that you generate at home. At the end of 40 to 45 days, as you make sure that you maintain the balance, it shouldn't be too wet, it shouldn't be too dry. If it's too dry, it stops. The breakdown stops because the microorganisms need moisture to colonize, and they increase in their numbers. At the end of 40-45 days, it will become like this. It will be crumbly and it will be moist, it won't be wet, and it smells so good. That is the sign of a good compost. And this is the compost that you add to soil so that you can grow your greens and your vegetables.